All right. Hello, everybody out there in Radio Land and everybody that's watching us online or Twitter, X, wherever you are, Facebook, everywhere. Please take 2 seconds, hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the heart button. It don't cost you nothing. Hit a retweet, whatever you can. Because every share helps get the message out to more people. It starts inspiring more important conversations because we have to be the people that are going to drive the conversations in our nation because nobody else is going to do it for us. You know, one thing that I find unfortunately far too common is not enough people know what the Declaration of Independence is, what it says, what it's about, or they don't know what the Constitution is. And it's rare that you find somebody that knows what both of them are, more or less knowing what both of them are, knowing what they contain. And these are our founding documents, our foundational documents that are so ever so crucial to our nation and to our nation's history. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop it up on the screen. Every comment helps kick the algorithm to get it out to more people. I see a lot of people are tuned in right now. Please hit that heart button. And even if you just want to drop a comment that's like a smiley face, a thumbs up, or a hey, I'm listening, or an American flag, drop something in the comment wherever you are, because every single comment helps get the algorithm to kick it and show it to more people. Okay, we want to get thousands of people watching this show every week, and you can be a part of helping that out by just sharing and commenting. And I'm not asking you for a lot because I know that it is a challenge even to have important conversations nowadays. But when we're talking about things, when it comes up with I don't know what you would even call them, the most crucial aspect of our founding, our foundational documents, and people don't even know what they are. Like, you listen, I'm going to give you this experiment to do. Go out and start asking people what the Declaration of Independence is and what the Constitution is, and see how many of them don't know the difference between the two. I can guarantee you that the majority of them don't even know or understand that they are two completely separate documents that were forged at separate times. So these are the important conversations that we need to have because that type of knowledge is very important. Why don't they teach cursive in school anymore, you guys? Well, they don't teach cursive in school because they don't want you to be able to read our founding documents, because they know that the more educated the populace is on the intention of our founders, on the reason why our country was founded, then the more knowledgeable people will be, and the more they'll be like, wait a second, what's going on here isn't quite right, and maybe we should do something different. But they always say, what do they say? Don't give your enemy enough information to overthrow you, you know? And that's what they're so concerned about. They're concerned that if you know enough about our founding documents, you'll say, hey, well, our government isn't doing what we're supposed to be doing, and it's not right, and it's not okay. Listen, I talk about that all the time. I'm a big proponent of our government isn't acting right. And people will say, oh, well, Donald Trump, the orange man, bad, bad orange man. Okay, that's your prerogative. I'm telling you, bad government, bad, bad, bad. Obama, okay, Biden, all of them. Okay, the government doesn't have any interest outside of itself. Okay, and it doesn't matter who's really in office. And that's something that we need to get through our heads and really need to have a conversation about, because what happens is too many people get caught up and they're like, oh, well, the president. Well, the president controls the departments. That's really about all that the president controls. And at that point, we need to start talking about what individual departments are doing that we're dissatisfied with. But again, that requires a comprehensive conversation and people to understand how the government actually works. And that's why they've taken civics out of schools and why they don't want you to be able to read our founding documents. It's all part of a much bigger plan. And what did George Carlin say? They're all part of one big club and you ain't in it. This is what they've got us wrapped up in. This is what's going on here and now. And the biggest distraction that you'll ever see is the local and the state level and the local level, where they try to distract you from everything that's going on here on the federal level. And that bothers me so much, because the majority of my issues where I live aren't from the federal government, aren't from Donald Trump, aren't from any of the federal departments. They're all from state level governance. All of my issues where I live are because of state level government. Not one of them has anything to do with the federal government, with Donald Trump, or any of that. I live in Rochester, New York. We've got crime. Crime is out of control. Why is crime out of control? Because of the state level government, because the state level government has made it so that criminals don't get locked up. They've made it so not only do criminals not get locked up, they made it so that all the criminals in jail get out of jail. Make it make sense to me. And whose communities does it hurt the most? It hurts the underserved communities. It hurts the Black and brown communities. They like to say brown. I'll never like to say that. Okay. It hurts the Black and Spanish communities, the Black Latino communities. It hurts the working class white communities. Who does it hurt? All of these people that the Democrats say that they care about. But I live in a Democrat-run state. There are no Republicans to blame for anything. So when you're telling me, oh, well, it's the federal government, I don't got no, look, Trump ain't done nothing that I'm mad at that's affecting me here on local level. And I'm going to get into that in a second, because our mayor came out and said some stuff the other day and we need to talk about it. But the crime is crazy. We just had a old dude beat up, stabbed to death right in Rochester last night. And that's not even the worst of it, because we've had multiple mailmen. We're up to I don't know, an actuality of about 7 armed robberies of mailmen in the last 3 weeks, and that doesn't include the mail that's been stolen. So if you haven't got your mail and you're here locally, that might be why, you guys. Please hit the share, hit the like button real quick. It don't cost you nothing. Drop a comment. Any comment really helps. Okay? So, and I'll pop it up on the screen and join the conversation. So we've got these issues right here. The mailmen are being robbed. Are you trying to get the feds to come in? You know what I'm saying? Is that what you're doing? Do you want the federal government to come in here? I don't want them here for no type of sort of purpose or reason, And now we got the issues with everybody's mad at ICE or whatever. Not everybody, but you know who's mad at ICE. A very few select individuals that care more about illegal aliens than they care about our own citizens. Do you know that we have over 2,000 homeless of school-age children in the city of Rochester? Who's doing anything for them? Nobody. But the state government apportioned $3.4 billion in the last budget to illegal aliens. And then Kathy came out and put another $50 million to the actual lawfare to help support illegal aliens. Now, please, somebody make that make sense to me, when there are so many people out here that are in the court system that could use that money for their lawyers, or maybe we could use that to feed the homeless people or the food insecure children. I mean, that's just me. That's my priorities. I believe we should focus on our citizens first, especially our most at-risk citizens that are already struggling. But that might be a little bit too much right. And people aren't ready for those real conversations. But share this video, get it out to more people, and then more people will hear the real and important conversations that we're having. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, just drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop it up on the screen. Okay, and definitely hit the heart button real quick and share it. So as we continue, we want to talk about all of the insanity that we got going on here in Rochester to start off with. We talked about the guy at the gas station that was murdered. We've had multiple murders this week. They keep telling us that crime is down. And the question is where is crime down? All they've done really is they've reclassified crime. So it's not really like it's gone down at all. Sometimes they don't even report it and stuff like that. And then what really is crime? The only crime, I'm using air quotes if you're listening to me online, that we've had that's gone down, really done anything, is the overdoses in our city. We've had a 43% drop. We were one of the highest, if you're not familiar with Monroe County, we had one of the highest overdose rates in the nation. I think we were like number 3 or 4, okay, which is crazy because there are so much many larger cities that have more people than us, you know. So we were real high up there, but now we've dropped 43% on overdoses. Well, why is that? It's not because of local policies. It's not because of state policies. It's because they shut down the border and they've been curtailing a lot of this deadly fentanyl that's coming into our nation and killing our people. Listen, I'm not saying that you got to like the orange man. I'm just saying that maybe occasionally we can give credit where credit is due, that is something that is good that is happening. But people don't want to talk about that, you know. And for me, if you know me or you follow me for a while, you know that there are two things that are very important to me: the overdoses and the missing people, specifically the missing children and missing girls. So when it comes to stuff like this and we're not talking about it, like we're not giving credit to people that are actually out there doing the work to lower the amount of overdose deaths, because they are securing the border, because they are busing all of these cartels, because they are stopping all of these chemicals that are coming into the country to actually make them. Like, we need to actually give credit to the administration for doing that, you know? And I know a lot of you guys out there don't like Trump. I know a lot of you guys hate him. Okay. But just because you don't like somebody, okay, doesn't mean that they're not able to do something good and positive. Give somebody their dues, you know, give people their flowers when they're alive. And talking about that and the overdoses and stuff that the government is doing, we also have in Rochester, but out by Lake Ontario, they're working on putting in a surveillance tower. Now, if any of you guys know me at all, you know I am completely against every form of government surveillance. The government is super trash. They shouldn't be able to collect any data on our citizens. Repeal the Patriot Act and Patriot Act 2. Repeal them both. Repeal it all. Okay? And a number of other things that they've been signing over the years. Because it's crazy. We've got far too many people that are out here that are using the surveillance to fuel the government to say, okay, well, let's keep tabs on these people or those people or whatever. Somebody dropped a comment. We'll pop it up in a second. But no, we got to stop the encroachment of government surveillance. So I'm going to give you guys some homework. I'm going to give you guys an action item right now, early in the show today. Go out, look at your local town council or your local city council and work on constructing legislation where you live that says that you do not want any biometric scanning or biometric data collection in your area in public. That means no gate detection. That means no retina scanning. That no eye detection. That means no facial detection. None of that. Okay, we got to start standing up, and it comes from the local level. Everybody's like, oh, well, federal government. No, it comes from the local level. If we can secure our local townships and make sure that they're safe, we got the right people in office in our local areas, then we can move on to the state. Then we can move on to the federal government. And we don't have to have these issues. That's the problem. They always distract you with the federal government when we need to be focused local. All politics is local, y'all. Okay? All politics is local. Let's pop some of these comments up as they're coming in. We've got Miss Shayla. Oh, I'm not even able to see that. Okay, defunding the police for every city, including Rochester. Yes, that has been a very serious continued issue, and that's part of the reason why we're here. Let's see. You say also Kathy Hochul endorsed. Kathy Hochul endorsed Mondani. She is on the ticket for the communist government. She is informing every citizen in New York that is going to be run by a socialist government, which means no consequences nor constitutional rights in New York. You're absolutely right. We'll get into him a little later. Okay. We also got another comment here. It's not showing up clearly. Why won't it? Anyway, so let's get back to it, though. This type of stuff is important. Again, it's about local and state level government. If we're not talking about it and we don't start taking action against it, nothing's going to change. And I'm glad that Miss Davis, you brought up the incident with her with our governor Kathy Hochul endorsing Mandani. He's an open communist. You know, he says, "Oh well, I'm a democratic socialist." Listen, don't play in my face with these word games, because it's no matter what you call it. What do they say? No matter the name of a rose by it called by any other name, it'll still smell as sweet. Yeah, man, but you done took poo and labeled it as something else and gonna act like it don't still smell like poo. Okay, that's poo. Socialism, poo. Communism, poo. Okay, democratic socialism, poo. Okay, social democrats, poo. It's all the same poo, and you trying to feed us poo, and I don't eat poo, and I don't take poo, and I'm not a farmer, so I don't give a flying monkey's uncle about your poo. You understand what I'm saying? I got some other words for it, but you know, we are in polite company, and we are also on the air. So this is important. You know, they try to play with our heads and rename stuff and reframe stuff and stuff like that, just so we get a different thought in our head, or it softens the image and stuff like that. And we can't let them do that, y'all. Let me rephrase that. We should not, for any reason, allow them to do that. They've done it with illegal aliens. And they're like, "Oh, well, you know, it's immigrants." No, they're not immigrants. They're not immigrants at all. Or they'll say migrants. No, they're definitely not migrants, because migration is internally inside a country that you already live in. They're definitely not that. And immigrants implies that you went through the immigration process, and that's what they're not doing. And then it kicks all of the refugees to the curb, because now they get last of nothing, and they're all pushed away back, because all of these illegal aliens are on docket for cases and processing before the refugees who actually deserve it. Don't get me started on that. But then they lump all of them together, you know, the refugees, the regular immigrants, and the illegal aliens, just to try to soften the message and what's going on. Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. Especially no conservative or no Republican should be saying out of their mouth immigrant or migrant when it comes to these illegal aliens. Call them what they are. Stop letting these people soften the message. And that goes to what I've said many times before. Republicans do not need, and conservatives do not need to be softening their message. We need to be doubling down on our messaging. Okay? People need to know what we stand for. We need to stand firm on that, because when we don't, when we waver, people see that and they're like, "Well, why would I even bother voting for you versus these other people?" We need to give them a real reason to believe. And that requires that we have those hard conversations and we talk very seriously and directly about these issues. Okay? It's important. Now, I want to go back to the surveillance for a second, because that surveillance tower here that they're trying to put in Rochester, I'm adamantly against it. Y'all know me, I'm against all forms of government surveillance. But it's been in all the newspapers, the Democrat and Chronicle, the WHAM 13, okay, WHEC number 10, I think that's number 10, and whatever channel 8 is, okay? It's been in all of them. It's even been in the Spectrum News, and on the NPR news, or whatever they call it, WXXI's news. You understand what I'm saying? And they're talking about, oh, these surveillance towers for the border control, because it's about the border, because they're thinking about illegal aliens. I don't give a flying monkey's uncle about illegal aliens, especially the people here on overstayed visa. Okay, they can all get out. Every last one of them. I don't care what color, what shade they are. Everybody needs to be deported. Send them all back, okay? We got a regular immigration system that's all backed up now because of them. We got refugees that can't come in because of them. And we're not having real serious conversations because of them. Okay, I'm not going to have any extra mercy or pity on them or whatever the case is, because what makes them in better need of pity or mercy than the refugees that are in refugee camps going through some of the most squalid conditions and horrible conditions in the world? And they wait impatiently trying to do the right thing. Make it make sense to me, y'all. Drop a comment, hit the heart button, share. I see a lot more of y'all watching than I see hearts out there in comments. So drop some stuff out there. I see we got another comment. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, for whatever reason, it won't let me pop that comment up. But yeah, drop a comment and be part of the conversation, even if it's just a hey, how are you? Or a thumbs up, or drop an American flag, because all of that helps kick the algorithm to show it out to more people. If you write at least 5 words, that helps the algorithm even better. So in Rochester, where I live, we just voted just the other day on a new chairman for our Republican committee. So now the chairman is Peter Elder. Congratulations, Peter. Okay. May you do good and positive things. May you bring in lots of funds for our candidates, and may you actually help bolster the Republican Party, because we need that here. But we need more people that are going to stand on business and aren't going to waver and waffle. Because we got too many people internally in our party that do that. They'll be like, oh, well, let me just say it softer so I'll get elected. Then they don't get elected anyway. Then they don't get elected. You don't get elected being a soft Republican, because people that are willing to vote Republican already have a concept in mind of what they believe Republicans to be. And everybody else, it's like, oh, well, Republicans are bad. They weren't going to vote for you no way. You're not going to get them to cross over and vote for you if they hate all Republicans anyway. That's not how that works. Gwendolyn says that I have her support. Thank you so much, Gwendolyn. I appreciate you greatly. So this is the important conversation. And I'm sure everybody that follows me that's a Team Marcus supporter, okay, all of you guys know where I stand on every single topic that I speak about, because I speak clearly and directly on what I believe and what I stand for. Because I want to draw a line of differentiation between myself and everybody else that's out there, so people know where I stand, so that there is no mistake. So they know that when they're supporting me, that they know what I stand for, and they can put their full support behind me. Because we need leaders like that we know that they're not only going to say what they believe, but also stand by what they believe. That's very, very, very important. It's also the reason why I always encourage you guys that you got to get active on the local level. You guys, we got to get active on the local level and take my advice. What I said, that action item that I gave you, go to your city or town council and work with them to construct legislation to prevent biometric scanning in public areas and public facilities. That's gate detection, that's retina and eye detection and recording. That's the what do you call it? A number of different biometric things, including facial scanning. We got to stop this stuff where it is. Okay. Now, as we go into a couple of other things, I want to talk about this other issue locally before we get into other stuff on the rest of the nation. Locally, the other day, the president, shoot, the the mayor of the city of Rochester came out with a whole bunch, trotted out with a whole bunch of the city council and other people behind him, talking about, oh, Trump is cutting SNAP and he's mean and Orange Man bad. Trump is cutting SNAP? No, that's not quite what's happening. First of all, it's not Trump that controls any of that. It's Congress. That's number one. So tell the people the truth, okay, so they understand what's going on. Secondly, what's happening is they are not cutting SNAP. I'm going to explain to you what's going on so you understand firsthand. What's happening is that the law says that any state that's got over a 6% error rate is going to only have 85% of the funds paid for in SNAP. Usually the government provides 100%, but the government will only provide 85% of SNAP, and the state will have to make up the rest. Okay? That doesn't sound wrong, because why would you have more than a 6% error rate just giving out people free money and stuff like that, when we know that if you've ever had to apply for SNAP or anything like that, you guys, a lot of people that are really deserving and really need it get turned away all the time. So if they can't get the money, who are all these people in error getting the money? But wait, New York State isn't at 6 or 7% error rate. We are at 14.6% error rate, almost as high as 16 by some counts, 16% by some counts. So what's going on, really? You just giving away free money and stuff like that? That's the error rate. That's the error rate that they've gone in and they've checked, and they said, yeah, all of these people should not be getting these things. So now the federal government says, well, because you guys need to clean up your act, until you clean up your act, we're only going to give you 85% of the money, because you can't spend the other 15, 16% good. You already got a 15, 16% error rate. And the error rate to trigger this whole situation is 6%. So you're talking about almost double. Okay, like, what are we doing here? But the mayor came out crying about that. Trump is mean and mad and bad and all of this stuff because it makes him look good, you guys. These people are not advocating for your best interest, because if they were, they'd be advocating, say, hey, the state needs to clean up these rolls for the SNAP because their error rate is far too high. And that doesn't even include all of the money that they're giving to the illegal aliens. Okay, now give me a second, because I got to say this. We got to say this at this part of the show. Thank you for tuning into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. You're listening to us on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. We are here. We are in your ear, having the conversations that you need to hear. You are listening to the #1 conservative news talk show in New York, in upstate New York. We're trying to make it the whole state. So share this with your friends, share it with your enemies, share it with your coworkers, and definitely hit those hearts and thumbs up and drop some comments. Be part of the conversation. So, but this is very serious. We also have them out here crying, talking about the state government, New York State, is cutting thousands of, I think they said something like 40,000. I don't know the actual number or what the end number is going to be, but they said that they're going to end up cutting about 40,000 people off of healthcare. Wait a second. Why are you cutting people off of healthcare? Didn't you just have $3.5 billion to give to illegal aliens? That would have more than covered the health care for all of those people. Then you just put another $50 million, okay, in a legal fund for illegal aliens, and that's our taxpayer money. That's not for the illegal aliens. So what are we really doing? But again, the conversations they don't want you to really have. And back to the beginning of the show, talking about the different parts of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and how they don't want us to actually know what it is. My favorite amendment, right up there by the Second Amendment, is the First Amendment. Now, everybody thinks that they know the First Amendment, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of press, right? That's what they think that it is, okay? And they stop right there. But the problem with them stopping right there is they forget that part of the First Amendment is to redress your grievances with your government. And that's my favorite part, that I can actually go to my elected officials and be like, y'all full of malarkey, tarky, parky, and I don't like what you're doing, and I want you to fix it, okay? And here are some solutions as to how, and here are the reasons as to why, or I just don't like the suit that you're wearing today, you know what I'm saying? But that's not how I get down. I'm gonna read the First Amendment to you guys, just so you have a full concept. And we're gonna go through it real quick, because I think that it's important that we have these important conversations. So the First Amendment says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting free exercise thereof, or abridging freedom of speech or the freedom of press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble. Peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's what I'm about. I'm about that redress of grievances life, because I can't stand the government, okay? From the city council all the way up to the federal government, I got serious issues that I want to redress. But let's talk about the first part of this, where it's talking about the government shall not make any law establishment of a religion. So that's just saying that the government won't start its own religion, like what happened in England. And remember, at the time, like Kamala Harris likes to say, it's all in the context. Okay, so this is important. This is important to understand the context of the Declaration of Independence, of the Constitution, when they were written, and what was going on in that time. I love American history. I love world history too, and anything to do with military history. But this is important, because we have to understand what they're actually talking about. King George, well, it was King George, but I want to say King Henry VIII, he got rid of the Catholic Church in England, and he established his own religion, okay? Anglicanism, okay? In America, we call them what? Apostolic? Apostolic. I think apostolic is how you pronounce that. And Episcopalian. That's the word that I'm looking for. I think apostolic and Episcopalian is the same thing, but don't quote me on that. But this is a serious conversation. So that's why that's in there. That's why it says that the government will not make any law creating a religion, okay, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, there's a little bit of importance there because this is a comma, and in other parts of this, you'll even see semicolons. Okay, so this is why it's important to understand that there is no separation of church and state here. Okay, that doesn't exist. What it's saying is that the government will not create its own religion. That's what it's saying. Okay, do you know that King Charles, Charles and Camilla, that he's the one that's the head of the Anglican Church right now? The king is in charge of the church. Make it make sense, y'all. So again, the whole founders and everybody thought that that was wrong. That was a bad move. That consolidated too much power in the hands of one man. And I'm right along with them. Okay, I'm right along with them. I might be a strong Christian and want us to be a Christian nation, but I'm right along with them. I don't want the government to be like, this is the United States Christianity, whatever they would call their own church. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's problematic, and we need to understand that. But going on, we also have the freedom of speech, which is us talking in dialogue. And we also have freedom of press. Now, freedom of press gets messed up all the time, and people say all of this crazy stuff about freedom of press, and they're all don't know what they're talking about. Freedom of press has nothing to do with the news. Freedom of press has nothing to do with journalism. Freedom of press is I type something up or I write something down and I want to go give it out to more people. I want to go print it out and give it to more people. That's the freedom of press. Freedom of press is the freedom of the printing press and you being able to distribute any type of information that you want. Okay? Or I guess not even necessarily information. You could just freedom of press, just pictures of a sunshine that you just drew. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, but you've got the freedom to put that out there. So then, as we talk about that, then I'm going to come back to free speech in a little while. But we go into the redressing our grievances with our government, which is right after the right to peaceably assemble. So over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot going on with the Democrats, and they assembling, but they tearing stuff up. You know, you got Antifa, you got these socialists, you got, which are fascists, by the way. I was having a conversation with a, what's his name? What do you call them people? Not political science. I think political science is what the gentleman teaches. I was having a conversation with the political science dude the other day, and he was like, yeah, the difference between communism and socialism and fascism, even though they both have totalitarian tendencies, is that fascism has a little more of a national type of situation along with it. Otherwise, they're exactly the same, essentially. I said, oh, I said, is that so? I said, I see. But these people are calling themselves the Democratic Socialists of America. So how is that not fascist? You understand what I'm saying? Because they're putting right in there, America, right? So they're national, right? So that's what they're talking about, right? So can we have this whole conversation? Somebody dropped a comment. Let's see. Ramon says shared. Ramon, I thank you so much for sharing. You guys, share this out there. Get this video out there. Get this message out there. Get this stream out there so we can encourage more people to have more important conversations. We need desperately now at a time like this. Never has been so pressing for us to have the important conversations and get the message out there. So share this video on your page, your friend's page, everybody's page. Hit retweet. It don't cost you nothing. And if you're listening to us on the air, on live radio, please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Marcus C. Williams channel. Thank you so much, Ramon. Ramon also says, Ramon, what else you said? You said the left need to look in the mirror. You're right. The left does need to look in the mirror because they're doing exactly what they say that they don't stand for. And the craziest thing to me that the left is doing right now is they're like, oh, we want to expand the government. As you guys know, I'm a small government. Shrink the government at all costs, okay? The government does way too much. deregulation at all costs. Okay, I know a lot of people that not all costs for deregulation, but almost all of the deregulation. So, but we need to have these conversations and get the message out there. So share this video. So as we talk about the right to peaceably assemble, they don't peaceably assemble. Okay, they always terrorizing other people, and that's crazy to me. Or they're causing a commotion and causing problems. That's crazy. And and that's different. The difference between like a traditional classical liberal, which doesn't even really exist anymore, because a traditional liberal is more of someone that's like, oh, well, let's agree to disagree, or well, I'll listen to you, but we don't have to agree. And that's gone. That type of discourse is gone. Almost everybody in the Democratic Party is either silent or they're leftists. And in many cases, a lot of them are far left, these new socialists and communists, and we can't have those conversations. Let's see, we got another comment. Says, folks in Rochester are under the Democrat curse. That's right. But it's not just Rochester. I put up posts about Rochester and stuff like that. And when people are listening from other cities, they're like, man, you could be talking about where I live in Chicago, or you could be talking about where I live in Portland, or you could be talking about where I live in LA. And this is what people are telling me underneath my comments, underneath their posts, because it is a sad continued actual analysis of all of the Democrat-run cities that have been Democrat for decades. This is what's happening, because this is what comes from this one-party rule on the so-called Democrat side. And I always tell people, you guys, are Democrats really representing the people that they say that they do? Because they don't represent the poor. They always throw a whole bunch of money out to the poor that the poor never somehow seem to get. Do the Democrats care about mental health? Absolutely not. They don't want to reopen mental institutions. And they're out here telling you that boys can be cats and dogs and girls can be cats and dogs, and that's insane. Or they're telling you that you can change your gender. You can't, okay? A man is a man and a boy is a boy, and there's only two sexes, male and female, and that is all. Okay, but you want people to participate in that delusion. Okay, I'm not about to do that. I'm not going to participate in that delusion. I refuse. You need to be in a mental institution. Whole facts, full stop. Okay? And somebody might say, oh, that sounds mean. Yeah, maybe it does. But remember, that type of stuff used to be in the DSM-4. They were called Crazy Town. Go look it up. Okay? Until the new version of the DSM-5, that was people needed to be in a mental hospital. Okay? Those type of people need to be in a mental hospital. And most of them don't even believe that nonsense. They just go along with it because it's fashionable or they feel like it's okay. I'm not about to do that. You're not about to make me. And I'm not about to play them games with you neither. Okay? Let's be really, really, really real. Got some comments here. Let's see. Somebody says you're going to have a hard time because people are so absorbed in the nonsense. Well, I mean, but this is part of the problem. Ramon says, I still choose to keep fighting regardless of what happens in the turn of events because this senseless violence is everywhere and needs to be stopped. You're absolutely right, Ramon. It's so serious. And it's promoted. You understand what I'm saying? It's promoted. And you'll say, well, Marcus, well, how is it being promoted? Very simply. Let me say it like this. When we see the erosion of cultural and social norms, when we see the removal of God from everything, when we see the uplifting of debauchery and hedonism and Satanry in our society, that is exactly what is happening. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. That's what the problem is. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what is being pushed by these so-called Democrats. And I'm calling them so-called Democrats because most of the people in the Democrat Party don't go along with this nonsense. You want to free all the criminals. Again, I live in a 6-7 to 1 Democrat city. You think that my whole neighborhood, the neighborhood that I live in, largely Democrat. You think that they want all this crime that's going on here? You think, and there are Republicans out there that'll say, oh, well, you get what you voted for. Nobody voted for this, y'all. Nobody, well, maybe like 2 or 3 people voted for this, maybe there's some criminals out there that voted for this. But the vast majority of people that even are Democrats did not vote for this. And we need to have that serious conversation as we talk about messaging, as we talk about engagement and stuff like that, because that is a terrible way to engage with somebody and say, well, you got this because that's what you voted for. No, no. First of all, if you look at the voter rolls, most of the Democrats don't even vote. Okay. And then what does that say about the Republicans and the independents that did vote it, that they deserve this because somebody else decided to vote for this? You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's not okay. It's not okay to say stuff like that. And it's because people feel like, oh, well, they're so superior because that's what that's not what we believe. And it's somebody else did this, and it's trying to distance themselves from what is actually going on. You can't do that. You can't do that. If you want people to vote Republican or you want people to vote conservative and vote for conservative values, you got to say, listen, this is what these people that are claiming to represent you as Democrats are doing. Here we are as Republicans. Here we are as conservatives. We are standing for better options for you. Okay. And that's the message that needs to get out to the people. Not, oh, you voted for this. You get what you voted for. Shut up. Nonsense. This is the conversation that we really need to have, But I got to blow my nose real quick. Excuse me. So as we get back into it, please make sure you hit the heart button, hit the thumbs up button. I see a lot of people watching, a couple hundred people watching. I only see a few thumbs up and a few hearts. Drop some more hearts. Share this out to more people, okay? Share it on your page, your friend's page, everybody that uncle that you don't talk to that often, share it on his page too, okay? Now, let's go into a couple of other things because I think that we need to really start to put some stuff into perspective. You guys remember that guy, Muhammad Khalil, that they were talking about, what was it? Not Harvard. Was it at Harvard? It might have been at Harvard. Or it might have been, it doesn't matter. One of them Ivy League schools. I think it was Harvard. But if you remember which one it is where Muhammad Khalil was at, let me know. But anyway, they're finally deporting him because a judge ordered him to be deported to either Algiers or to Syria. And he gets to pick, I guess. But the whole issue there was we got another comment coming in. Oh no, the comments just went away. What did I do? Okay. Oh, now the screen is too small. Anyway, I'm over here playing with the screen, making the screen smaller and stuff. I didn't mean to do that, y'all. But anyway, so yeah, he's getting deported finally. And I guess he's Palestinian. So they're deporting him to Algiers or whatever because he's out here deaf to America, down with America, whatever. And also he's, I guess, anti-Israel or whatever the case is. They say he's anti-Semitic and stuff too. I don't know enough about him to say, oh, well, he's anti-Semitic as well, but I would probably figure that he just about might be, Let's see. Ramon says, what do you say, Ramon? Ramon says Republicans need fresh, new, strong candidates who are serious and are sick and tired of the old guard pushing new people out. Amen, Ramon. That is a mouthful right there. I am fully behind you on that. That has been a consistent issue. That has been a consistent issue. And it's a very, very big problem in the Republican Party because we do have a lot of old guard that are like, it's not your time, wait your time, okay? Or oh, no, that's not a good idea or whatever. We can't do that, or we can't say bad things about the Democrats, or we can't hold them accountable. Let me ask you a question, bro. If I am if I'm essentially the only Republican outside of Miss Phyllis, who's the head of the Women's Republican Federation. I'm the chairman of the Rochester City Republican Committee. But we're the only people that are in the Republican Party that are publicly condemning them putting men in women's bathrooms in the city of Rochester. Where's the rest of the party? Where are people in the county ledge? Nobody wants to say nothing. Nobody's talking about it. Like, okay, well, let's just go along with it. Where's the balls? Where's the backbone? Somebody say something. Write an op-ed, write an editorial, put a post online, man. I mean, that's the least that you can do. Men in the bathroom with little girls at rec centers and at public pools and public showers? Are you serious? Y'all stand for that? Y'all just gonna go for that? Y'all just gonna let it go? Like nothing's going on? The only other person in the whole county that's actually publicly came out and said something is Ryan Combs, who is the chair of the college Republicans at St. Bonaventure, okay, which isn't too far from here. Okay, this is a serious problem. You mean it's only us three? We did get a little, and I'm going to give Cecil Johnson, who is essentially the chairman out in Irondequoit, he did come down to support. So I'll give him credit for that too. But that's very small. That's a very small number of us, you guys. That's a very small number of us. So I hope that our county chair will come out and say something against that. I really hope that he will. I hope that our people that are in the county ledge come out and say something against that. I really hope that they do, because if we let them get away with this insanity now, they'll do whatever they want in the future, so it won't even matter about anything else. Nothing else will matter because they've gotten away with everything that they can. Let's see, we got some other comments here. What else we got? We got Marcus. The city council is pushing a narrative for a Soviet Union government, and Kathy Hochul has endorsed Mandani, and that will destroy out the city of Rochester. It's going to disrupt everything in Rochester's economy. Listen, don't even get me started on Rochester's economy. That's, oh, Lord help us all. You know I talk about that frequently. But let me get into some of this other stuff real quick, you guys. Please hit the share button, hit the heart button, hit the like button, drop a comment. Please drop a comment, right? Like, don't make me beg you to drop a comment, y'all. I'm not asking you guys for no money. But if you want, you can do that too. Y'all know how to. But here's the thing. If we don't get this message out there and start pushing it out to more people, who's going to do it? There are so few of us that are willing to stand up and speak up now, because we've got all of these people that are out here that are either hungry for power or hungry for money or looking out to raise their own flag and their own sail. They don't really care about us. They don't care about the people, you know? So when you see people like me and others, there's not a lot of us out there. Please support us just simply by dropping some comments saying, hey, man, I appreciate what you do and keep going. You know, get a thumbs up, a wave, a handshake, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you can in the little comments, because every single comment helps. All right? We're talking about real things, you know? So as we continue this conversation, I think that we were talking about Muhammad Khalil being deported, and it goes in along with the rest of the stuff that's going on with the arrests and with ICE and with the deportations and with all of that. Okay? And Trump's done a massive push through DHS, and Kirsty Noem is over there, and she's in Chicago right now. They've arrested over 400 people in the last 2 weeks. That's amazing. They arrested over 400 illegal aliens in the last last 2 weeks. That's an amazing amount of illegal aliens. Deport all of them. Okay. Please make sure you get some of these people here on overstayed visas. Don't forget them. Okay. And we've also seen that what's going on is that now California has pushed it where they're banning masks from being on law enforcement. Well, where were your bans for people that were running around looking like bandits? Okay, with all these masks, can the public not be masked too? Like, what is going on? Like, we got these people rioting and destroying stuff like that. Should we make another law about that? Y'all know me, I'm not about making new laws, but I'm just asking a question. Maybe there shouldn't be any law about that, because I don't want them to start saying that citizens aren't able to wear them. I do want them to say that citizens can't wear them, but also I don't want there to be laws on the paper that say that either, because I know what's coming and it's not good. And we're not talking about that on this episode because we only got like 30 minutes left to go. But as we continue this conversation about now they're banning face masks on ICE, all of these crazy people that were out there, you didn't do anything to stop them. You didn't do anything to stop them. Why aren't you doing anything about that? Somebody make this make sense. Because they want their illegal aliens. They want the illegal aliens to stay because they work for less, because they can pay them less, and they can treat them like indentured servants, if even, okay, very close to the way that you would treat a slave, and this is something that we need to have a conversation about, not a historical American slave, but a historical slave that you would consider from traditional Europe or something like that. Not like what do you call that? Not like the Barbary slave trade either. Okay, those are different types. So, but this is serious, and we need to have this conversation. That's why it's important for us to actually talk about this stuff. And with the ICE situation, they got the self deportation option. So when you say, and a lot of people, I can't remember the total number, but the last time I checked, it was over 20,000 people self deported. That's a lot. I was like, this is a raving success. Okay. They just need to deport more people. That's all. These illegal aliens got to go. Now, as we're talking about the illegal aliens, another important thing that we have to talk about and should be talking about is legal immigration and some other problems like that, which we have with the H-1B visas, which is for like technical and skilled people to work these jobs in America, where companies are just hiring people from other countries. Excuse me. They're bringing them here, they're paying them less, and they're dropping American workers into nothingness. These are jobs that Americans can get, with the ICE raid on that facility, that Hyundai, I believe it was Hyundai. It might have been Hyundai, but I'm pretty sure it was Hyundai. Hyundai was building over there in, I believe it was Georgia, like last week, where they arrested over 437 people or something like that. Most of them South Korean nationals. So they deported them, And then Trump was like, oh, well, you should be bringing people over here that are training American workers to do these jobs. He's 100% right. And now this week, he's talking about we're going to take the H-1B visas and we're going to make it $100,000 annually, not one-time payment, annually for you to hold people here that are on H-1B visas. Now, that's something nice, and I agree with it. But he was like, we're doing this so that we can encourage them only to bring people over to train American workers. I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it's a fantastic idea. However, that's only the H-1B visa. There's like a dozen other visas and I forget the numbers off the top of my head, a couple of different visas, nomenclature visas, and stuff like that are still used for similar things to bring people over. We shouldn't be bringing none of them over there, bro. All of these Americans that need work, need jobs, can get on the job training, can get these jobs done. We need to employ our people first, man. Forget all these illegal aliens. And I know some people have a heart for them. Well, excuse me for having a heart for our citizens, which includes you, even if you disagree with me, fool. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is an important conversation. Now, talking about this whole shift in what's going on in the economy and what's going on with immigration and the federal government and stuff like that, the federal government is now pushing hard on nuclear. And if you guys listen to me often, you'll hear me talk about nuclear all the time. I'm a big proponent for nuclear because we have one of the oldest, longest running nuclear plants right here in Rochester. It's called Ginna Nuclear Plant. And it's awesome. Little small thing, but we can go out and make and build more small modular nuclear reactors, which aren't a problem. Like people try to say, oh, well, nuclear is like a nuclear bomb. That's not how any of that works. Okay. And 3 Mile Island is still open right now. The so-called worst nuclear disaster in the world. And they still got reactors open over there now. And Microsoft just bought them. Make it make sense to me. Okay. Being lied to, people. Wake up. So we need to have these important conversations. And we as a city and as a county, and I hope as a state, start to wake up to these options and opportunities that we have where we can seize on this massive energy producer. Because what I'm seeing right now is I'm watching BlackRock and Blackstone and all these other companies that are hedge funds and stuff like that are starting to go out and buy power plants. That's problematic, y'all. You might not get it or understand, but that's problematic. They should not be in control of those pieces. It's not like they don't control enough as it is. That's very, 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 very not good. But we need to have these conversations. And in order to have those conversations, we got to start by engaging others that may or may not agree with us. Somebody just dropped a comment. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this is a long comment. You're trying to make me read forever. Who wrote this? Vivian. Okay. Let's see what you wrote here, Vivian. Vivian is a troll trying to promote some nonsense from somebody that is in some foreign country. No, Vivian, go kick rocks. Okay. But do drop a comment, do drop a thumbs up, and let's have these important conversations. Now, back to the nuclear thing. If we're pushing for for an energy heavy future, we need more energy production, and nuclear is the only way to do it. Right now, the government has a lot of money out there for us to actually start nuclear plants and nuclear processing and nuclear storage and all types of different grants and stuff like that. We need to be hopping on that to shore up our energy system in the United States. We got to ASAP. But all of the private companies and stuff are buying them up too, not just BlackRock and stuff like that. Microsoft, OpenAI, what's the other one? Oracle, Google, all of these places. All of these places. And we need to have a serious conversation about that. Okay? I'm going to grab my water real quick because, stay hydrated, drink water. Hold tight. Stay hydrated, y'all. Anyway, also, like 95% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. Please drink water, y'all. Please, please, please drink water. Okay. Back to what we're talking about, though. I want to get into this fact about the energy stocks and stuff like that. These nuclear stocks, and I'm not giving you guys any stock investment tips or anything like that, like SMR and Oklo and is it nanonuclear and all of these things. Listen, they've been flying off this charts for the last couple of months, man. I mean, like, was it SMR and Ocala are up like 60% in the last 2 months. You know what I'm saying? They're up like 100 and some change percent. Some even up as far as 1,000 this year already. Like, it's crazy town out there in nuclear stocks right now. They're going up and up and up and up and up. Okay. You know your pain tolerance for investing. I'm not telling you to invest in nothing particular, but I'm letting you know what's going on. So we should be understanding that if that's what the stock market is doing, there must be some there. So we need to wake up as people and understand what's going on and see how either A, we can get involved in that, B, take advantage of that, and C, which is the most important part, push our local and municipal governments to start looking into that type of energy, because they're pushing and pushing and pushing more and more and more towards us actually going in an energy heavy direction. But in places like New York State, we become too reliant on funding money for solar. Okay, I'm not saying we're reliant on solar panels, because we're not, but we've become too reliant on funding money for it, right? Like, y'all want to build solar, you build it yourself. Okay, we're not putting no subsidies towards it, not on scale, right? Like, you want a house solar, that's a different question. But you're talking about you want to chop down fields of trees and stuff like that and put up solar panels. That's not feasible. That doesn't make any sense. Let's not play them type of games. Okay, don't play in my face. What did they say? Don't take a piss and tell me it's raining. You know, these are the important conversations that we really, really need to have. And I want to go into another topic, one of them challenging topics that they don't really want you to talk about. And that is a two-state solution for Israel. Oh, I know you guys know that we were getting here at some point. So now apparently France and what's the other French people? Canada. Okay, France and Canada are like, we're going to have recognize Palestine. For what? To what end? Right? Aren't you over here trying to fight Ukraine? What you trying to do? Go fight in Israel too? What are you trying to do by saying you're going to recognize Palestine? And some people might take this some sort of way. Listen to everything that I'm talking about before you decide on what your thoughts are. Okay. And get out your feelings. Okay. Because I ain't got no feelings attached to this, only facts for y'all. So if they're doing that, and I've been saying this from day one, that Israel is trying to take over that whole region and they're trying to make it greater Israel. And people are like, oh, no, that's not happening. That's not. Do you listen to BB talk, Netanyahu? Do you listen to BB talk? Y'all don't listen to this man. This man tell you everything that he's about all the daggone time. He just said this morning, he's like, there won't be a Palestine state outside of Lebanon. Not Lebanon, outside of Jordan. What? Jordan is the country of Jordan. Ain't no Palestine in the country of Jordan. Hello, can we have that conversation? What is he even talking about? He's telling you right now that they are getting rid of all of the areas that were Gaza and Israel is taking them over. Y'all just better come to grips and terms with that. Now, it's up to you whether you feel some type of way about that or not. I just care that the U.S. is getting wrapped up in it and our money is going to these people that have more than enough money. They got more than enough money to do whatever they want. They don't need our money. We shouldn't be giving it to them. And that's full facts, full stop. Okay? Because they got their own. They mad wealthy. And then they got so many, listen, you know how they talk about the African diaspora or the Asian diaspora? Specifically, they do that with China largely and Japan. But you talk about the Jewish diaspora, okay? You're talking about the most wealthy and connected individuals in the world. Per capita, per person, okay? So y'all got the money, not just inside your country, but your people that you identify with outside the country. Got it. They got the money. Y'all can fund your own stuff. Y'all don't need America's money. We ain't got nothing to do with nothing over there. The only thing I want to have with anything to do with over there is if we're going to reclaim the Middle East for Christianity. If we're not going over there to reclaim the Middle East for Christianity, we ain't got no business over there. The only alternative is to take some of the land and incorporate it for the United States of America, which they're also not doing, which is yet again why I'm not for none of that nonsense and shenanigans. But we need to have that conversation because whenever you question Israel, let me tell you guys, if you guys watch me a lot, you know I question our government all the time. And I might be Republican and I might be conservative. I'm both very hardcore. Okay, I stand by that. Okay, that's where I stand and I'm not moving off that square. However, it does not mean that I do not recognize the crazy stuff that our government has done. The coups and the overthrowing of governments in other nations and stuff like that. Blah, blah, blah. We can have that conversation at another time. But the fact of the matter is we got entities inside the government, the NSA, which we talked about, the spying on our own citizens earlier, right? Okay, we got the FBI that's always been involved in all types of crazy stuff. Okay, again, spying on the citizens, doing stuff they ain't got no business to do, trafficking drugs, trafficking guns, stuff like that. Same thing with the DEA. You know what I'm saying? And don't even get started on the CIA, which is the one that's out here toppling other governments and stuff like that, right? So if we can question them and we can ask stuff about them, how come we can't say nothing about a nation state that is Israel? Like they're not out to serve their own best interest. Of course they are. I wouldn't expect anything different from any country. I'd expect the South Sudan to be out there doing their best to solidify their own special interests. Like, are we serious? We're not being serious here. But for you to tell me that I can't question Israel as a nation in what the nation is doing, but Israel can question the U.S. all the time? Stop playing in my face. I can question the U.S. government. I can question the English government. I can question the Queen or the King. I can question the Emperor of Spain or, Portugal, whatever they got. I think it's a king. He's over there. Or whatever. I can question anybody else. But when it comes to government, I can't question the government of Israel. Why is that? You stop playing in my face. Okay? If I'm going to question my country and my government, you daggone ain't right that I'm going to question somebody else's government that is not my country, that has got nothing to do with the best interests of my country. Come on now. Come on now. That don't make nobody anti-Semitic? You gonna say that talking about a whole form of government is anti-Semitic? Shut up. Shut your mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Stop it. Are the people that are in Israel that are against Netanyahu's government, okay, because they've been trying to get him out of office, okay, he got court cases for corruption right now, are they anti-Semitic too? Are all of those Jews trying to push Netanyahu out of office, are they anti-Semitic? You understand what I'm saying? So these are the important conversations that we need to have that they don't want you to have, because once you start to get a voice and you start questioning the narrative of what's going on in Israel as a nation, you can't do that. You can't do that. They don't want that. And I don't care what the heck Israel is doing. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care. Just don't make us spend our money on it. You understand what I'm saying? They want to do whatever they're doing over there. That's their prerogative. You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether I agree with it or not, I clearly don't agree with what's going on, the way it's being executed. Okay. I'm very much so, if you're going to kill a whole bunch of people, you do it at one time. You don't do it piecemeal. But I don't even think that they're killing a whole bunch of people in a way that it would be considered a genocide. It is a massive displacement, which is a whole nother conversation on the reason why the people can't get the aid and the resources that they need, because people are out here calling it a genocide when it's not. It's a massive displacement. And therefore, now we have what's turning into a massive starvation and suffering situation, because people want to say, oh, well, it's a genocide. Well, because you didn't want to address it being a massive displacement, it is turned into a genocide, and you are just as guilty as the rest of them. And really, it's not even a genocide, because they are not of one ethnic persuasion. That's not how that even works. So you're used to playing fast and loose with terminology, and we talked earlier in the show that we don't do that here. We don't play them types of games. Now, back to Greater Israel, right? Greater Israel is Israel itself having taken over all of whatever is Palestine, Gaza, and the West Bank, you know, and the Golan Heights and stuff like that. Golan Heights is gone, and that's a whole separate conversation. But taking over all of that area and parts of Syria, wait, they've already done that. They've already taken over parts of Syria, but we can't talk about that, which is them also taking over parts of Lebanon and parts of Jordan. Okay, but can we have that conversation? Like, I'm just stating what's actually going on. And again, like I said, I don't care. Don't talk to me about the Middle East unless we're going to reclaim it for Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Okay, can we talk about that? You know, we got some comments here. Somebody's saying some words. That's a long conversation that they look like they're having. Somebody, Davis, is saying stuff. I'm going to try to read what you got. I can't. Alton. Republicans want energy efficient systems. Democrats want solar panel efficient. Do you agree? Yeah, the solar panels don't work, especially in states like where I am. And explain to me why under Biden energy prices went up like 80%. But that's a whole separate conversation. Let's keep going. It says, do you know what's going on with the waste, fraud, and abuse money? Hello. And how do you feel about the individuals who have been targeted because of who they represent, like individuals that were targeted at their schools, tracking them down, harassing them, their homes, while arresting a father at his home for no reason, displacing New Yorkers and throwing them out of their homes? And I think there might actually be more after that, but it won't show the whole thing because I'm not able to see the whole thing because it's too much words. That's a lot. I think I answered the energy question. Talking about them doxing people. I'm not sure who or what category of people you're talking about them doxing. I'm not about that life. I don't think that that's right. I think that that's like turning in and reporting on your neighbor. Okay, I'm not really with that. I also lived through COVID, you know what I'm saying? So they were having people in New York State calling because you had more than 2 people at Thanksgiving. You know, I'm not about any of that brown shirt type activity. I'm not with it at all. I don't like that. What else did you say? You said a lot there. I hope I answered most of your questions there. I think I did. But in New York State, yeah, man, they're doing a lot. and it's very, 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 very problematic. It's very, very problematic. But we shouldn't be doxing people. And I'm going to get into the rest of that in a moment. I want to finish up on this Middle Eastern thing, and I'm going to come back to the rest of your comment because I do want to talk on that as we close. So, and the questioning the Israel stuff and the narrative that's going on over there, somebody saying that we don't want to get them any money isn't being anti-Semitic. It's not being anti-Israel. Like I pointed out earlier, they got more than enough money to fund their own stuff. Why are we doing that? Why are we giving them money? We need the money, you know? And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about, oh, well, we could cut the military budget and stuff like that, and we could use that for all types of other programs and stuff like that. First of all, no. Can we work on shrinking the military and making it more efficient as far as the budget use goes? I'm sure that we can. Okay, because we got a lot of black budget stuff that's gone into places and we ain't never seen it and we ain't never gonna see it. And they got all types of super crazy contraptions that we ain't never gonna see. Okay, you think them aliens is aliens? Them aliens ain't really aliens. We's the aliens. Okay, and they also got these demons, and that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, we can't have them real conversations. What's in Antarctica? Okay, can we start to have real conversations about that? No, we can't. We're not even going to go that far. I'm just talking about the military spending budget. Somebody's like, cut the budget for the military. And I'm like, you know, we have the biggest military budget because we've pissed off almost every country in the world. You know, like I love my country. I stand for my country. I stand by my country. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm not going to neglect the fact that we've gone over and we've bullied people and we've overthrown governments and stuff like that. And that needs to be part of a serious conversation. But when we're out here talking about, oh, you can't question Israel on the stuff that it's doing, stop it. Stop playing with me. Then we got this whole Charlie Kirk memorial, and we're going to wrap this together here with a nice little bow. And people are saying that, well, Israel might have had something to do with what was going on with Charlie Kirk because he was starting to turn his view on supporting Israel financially. That's a very strong possibility. I mean, look, he had Tucker Carlson talking about a similar thing when he was on stage just a month ago at the SAS convention, the Student Action Summit, which is a TPUSA event, you know, and he was talking about that there. And there were a couple of people that talked about that there, you know. But these are the important conversations that we need to have. And if he really was possibly changing his thought line on that, he has put out that he's made a little couple of questions on should we be financially supporting them or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So maybe he was. Maybe they were like, we're not. That's what we're not doing. Okay, that's what we're not doing. Maybe it could be something else completely. Maybe it's all a complete cover up to usher in a new dystopian future that is thrust upon us due to overgrown government surveillance and hate speech laws. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows? But it is a very strong and likely possibility, seeming more likely every day, that he did say something that pissed off Israel, okay, again, as the nation, not as just Jewish people, right? Because there needs to be a distinction there. But if he said that, that goes against their interests, and Netanyahu is not too fond of that, and he's the king of intelligence agencies and the Mossad. And we're going to sit here and play like the Mossad don't go over there, kill people, overthrow governments and stuff like that. And they blew up like 15,000 people in 4 different countries with pagers. Are you stupid? Like, do you know how they get down? Like, you thought the CIA was something. The CIA ain't got nothing on Mossad. Okay, I got a lot of respect for them. A lot of respect for Mossad because they do a terrible, horrible, great job. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got to like what they doing, to respect what they doing, that they doing what they doing, the way that they should be doing, what they doing, because that's what they supposed to be doing. It don't mean I got to like it or be okay with it, and I'm definitely going to talk about it, okay? But if he really was going that way, that could be a very, very big problem. And I do see Ben Shapiro trying to, like, take up the mantle and take up the mantle from him and stuff like that, talking about, oh, they're donating $1 million to TPUSA. Man, I do not trust Ben Shapiro because if you look at the Daily Wire, Jeffrey Boring, who is the CEO of the Daily Wire, was in a whole bunch of trouble and a whole bunch of shenanigans going on. And he was about to be out from the Daily Wire in a couple weeks. That's what people were saying behind the scenes. I don't even know if you can find many articles on that. Go look that up. That's something to look up, y'all. Okay. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk is assassinated. Come on now. Timing is very interesting. And then Ben Shapiro's trying to weasel his way in and as an heir apparent to Charlie Kirk, which the heir apparent should really be Candace Owens, but that's a whole separate conversation of how they stepped away from her because she started to question Israel. You know what I'm saying? And I guess maybe she did go into a little bit of other topics that aren't too tasteful for some people. But I mean, you know, a lot of the time we have to have a consideration of where we stand in the world and the fact that if we're going to shut our own people down for bringing up open conversation, prove them wrong, bro. Like, prove them wrong. We got too many grown people with feelings, in their feelings about stuff, not in actuality about stuff. You understand? Like, these are important conversations. So please hit the share button, hit the like button, retweet this. Okay, it don't cost you nothing to just drop a comment in the comments to be part of the conversation. And I will go back through and I'll try to answer any comments that I didn't get to pop up on screen if you're posting. So this is important. I don't know what's going on with the Charlie situation. I don't know who killed him. I don't know. I don't believe that dude killed him. There's so much stuff that's weird about that whole situation. That's a whole nother conversation. And I don't know who did it. I don't know if it's the government. I don't know if it was a foreign entity. I don't know if it was Israel. I don't know if it was Ben Shapiro because he saw a way to bring himself up. I don't know. Maybe it was a personal thing. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe it was just some crazy person out to get him, even though it doesn't seem likely that that's the case. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was a family member. Maybe I don't know exactly what happened there. But what I can tell you is what I saw at his memorial was more like a rally than it was a memorial. Now, that's not a problem in and of itself. But after he died, these same people that were at his memorial, largely, okay, were trying to push anti-hate laws. You know what I'm saying? Talking about no more free speech. That's hate speech and stuff like that. This and third. Charlie would have never stood for any of that. And you're trying to push this under his auspices. Stop it. Stop it. You're wrong for that. You know, so that's stuff that makes me question more what's really going on, what's really happening, you know, and I wish that I didn't have them type of questions, but they're the ones that are making me have these type of questions. And when I watch it and I look at his memorial and you got all of these members of Congress and you got all of these people from all of these alphabet agencies up there talking and stuff like that. And you got the president and the vice president and the what's Mike Johnson, the head of the House of Representatives, what's he called? The Speaker of the House. Okay. And all of these people and all of that, all there. And many of them are speaking. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And y'all know I like a lot of people in this administration. But I don't know. That seems a little scuzzy, worth of questioning to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like we need to be waving a question and saying, hold on, what's going on here really? Because it's definitely that his death is being used to push a whole nother agenda. And we don't know clearly as exactly what it is as of yet. And I am concerned on the direction that this is going. However, I was watching President Trump and he was like, yeah, man. And Charlie wanted the best for his enemies and stuff like that. He was like, I hate them. And he's like, I hate them. And I don't wish them anything good. I was like, you know what? That's why that right there. I agree with you on Trump. I'm with you on that right there. You know, because why would I want good for my enemies? I'm going to do, what is it? Psalms 23:18, 27:18, something like that. Okay. Where you got like 4 or 5 different Psalms. I think the other one is like 100 and something. Okay. Where David is out there and he's like, yo, man, Lord, please, man, cast down my enemy, destroy my enemy, go before me, get rid of my enemy. Okay. All of that type of stuff. That's the type of prayers that I got for my enemies. I don't want nothing good for them. Okay. I don't want nothing good for them because why y'all wish me ill? I don't wish none of y'all ill. Why you messing with me? You understand what I'm saying? So I don't understand how people get like that, but more power to them for being so peace, peace, peace. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, I'm more a piece of steel type of person. Okay, I'm more we need to bring back duels type of person. Okay, I'm not that softy soft. We should be all soft and love thy enemy and stuff like that. I got love for my enemy. I hope they turn to Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior and that they turn to the Lord our Father. But what we're not doing is I'm definitely not about to be like, oh, yes, I hope all of the people that are trying to hurt me or destroy what I'm building or trying to take me out, I wish them well. I don't. I wish them fire on earth because hell is too far away for them. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, I love y'all. Hold tight online, but I got to get off this radio. I'll catch y'all guys later. Y'all be blessed and be well. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. All right, y'all. Listen, this whole nonsense that's going on with the Charlie Kirk thing and everything like that, it's wrong. Okay, the government is using this to their advantage. Like I said, I like some of these people in this administration. You know, I generally have a general concept of what the administration is doing. They've got championed a lot of my policies that I support, but I'm not with you when you're not right. And them pushing this anti-hate speech and stuff like that, that's concerning to me. That's concerning to me, especially after the death of a freedom of speech icon. Drink water, stay hydrated. So this is the type of stuff and the conversations that we need to be having that aren't being had, you know? Why? Because it's controversial, because people might have feelings about it. And that's a big issue. Too many people got too many feelings about too many things. I need y'all to think logically. And there is one thing for sure, okay, and two things for certain. And that is the government, the physical government, okay, the entity, the behemoth that we call the government wants nothing good for the American people. And that's why we need to shrink the government. 100%. 100%. I want I'm talking like serious cuts on the government. I want like 70% of the government cut on the state and on the federal level. Okay. They do too much. They do too much. But I don't like the direction that we're going right now because I am concerned that this will be misused and it'll be used to clamp down more on people. We see the move for Palantir. Please look up Palantir and what they do. Also, their stock is running a raw ruckus up and up too. So that's something to consider. Oracle also, again, Larry Ellison. What's the guy's name from Palantir? Oh, I can see his face. What's the guy's name from Palantir? Y'all drop his name in the comments. It's slipping my mind. I can see his face right now, but I forget what it is, which I found out that he was a descendant of slaves. Okay. And apparently he's black. I didn't know that. That man looked white as snow. Okay. He looked like, what do you call him? Beethoven had a baby with Albert Einstein. Okay. Homeboy looked like he's from the Austrian Alps and stuff. Apparently he's got some black in him somewhere. But anyway, I can't stand him either, okay? And we need to be privy to what the government's doing with this push for massive surveillance, okay? I don't care if Trump's in office and Trump's our man or whatever the case is. Trump will not be in office forever, which means that the people after him will get possession of whatever the systems and stuff that he's creating, and then they'll use it for their own means. And again, the government is doing nothing but perpetuating its own self. It doesn't care about us. We don't matter to it. And that's what I'm telling you guys. That's why we got to get active. That's why I encourage you. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. Okay, I'm leaving you with an action item. Every single time we do this show, I got an action item for you. Go out to the school board, go out to the town council, go out to city council, get involved however you can. We got to get people involved at the local level because local level is where we can change stuff. The state level is where we can change stuff. That's how we start to make a difference on the federal level. But it starts in our townships. It starts in our city councils. That's where we have to make a difference. It starts on the school boards, y'all. Who's educating the youth? It starts on the school boards. So my action item for everybody that's listening, go out to your town council or your city council, or maybe it's a county legislature because you live in too sparsely a populated area, okay? And tell them that you want to make a law so that there is no biometric scanning or biometric data collection and recognition in public spaces. Please do that. That is the smallest thing that we can do. And some people will say, oh, well, that's not a problem. They're not doing it here. Good. I'm glad they're not doing it here. Now let's get this law in place before they try to do it here. You understand what I'm saying? We got to preempt these things, and we got to look around the corner and see what's coming, because if we don't get prepared now, there will not be a tomorrow to prepare for. It'll be here before you know it. And that's what I got for you guys. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You guys be blessed and be well. I love you. You matter to me. Make sure you share this with everybody that you know, your friends, your family, your enemies, that one guy that you met in 3rd grade, everybody, okay? And drop some comments, drop some hearts. I see a lot more people on here watching than I see hearts or comments. So get that out there. Help me spread the word and kick the algorithm to get it out to more people. I love you all, okay? I'll catch you guys later. Don't forget to stand up, okay? We cannot be silent any longer. Now is the time to stand up. It's the time to speak up. And it's the time for us all not to shut up and be sure to take action. Be blessed and be well. Catch y'all later. Next Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. Make sure you tune in and tell a friend.